Have you ever experienced those incredible moments of breakthrough? A sudden feeling of peace, a clear vision, or a deep knowing, only for it to fade away, leaving you wondering if it was all just a temporary high? What if the most powerful step isn't just finding that feeling, but making it your permanent reality? Tonight, we're going to talk about how to anchor your highest self into every single part of your life, so it never leaves. Most people who catch a glimpse of their higher state experience it like a spark, a sudden flame of realization. But if that flame is not tended, it flickers, it dims, not because the truth has vanished, but because it has not yet been welcomed fully into every corridor of life. Integration means your identity as the fulfilled self is not just felt in meditation or stillness, but in traffic, in conversation, in commerce, and relationships. It does not disappear when the phone rings or when bills arrive. It stays. It guides. It leads. You become someone for whom alignment is not an event, but a foundation. This is the great challenge of spiritual maturity, to no longer need quiet to be centered, to no longer require stillness to be still within. It is to carry the state wherever you go. You are no longer the seeker who retreats to the cave. You are the sage who walks the marketplace with the same serenity, the same clarity, the same authority. To integrate is to know, I do not go in and out of my power. I am always it. Integration looks like consistency, not perfection, but coherence. You speak from your state, you act from your state, and when you forget, you remember quickly. The drift into doubt becomes shorter. The return to truth becomes automatic. How do you know integration is happening? You begin to recognize patterns, not just in your thoughts, but in your reactions. You see where the old self tries to reclaim authority. You catch the subtle moments where fear disguises itself as logic. And instead of indulging these ghosts, you bring the light of your new awareness into those spaces. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop proving. You start expressing. You stop fixing. You start allowing. One of the great indicators of integration is this: your inner state no longer depends on your outer environment. You cease to ask, is it working? You know it is because you are. Integration also means ownership. Full, unflinching ownership of your creative power. You no longer blame the world, circumstances, people, or luck. You see clearly, everything is a mirror. If something displeases you, you do not fight the reflection. You adjust the image within. To integrate your embodiment is to become deliberate. You choose your thoughts like you would ingredients for a sacred meal. You choose your feelings like you would your garments for a royal ceremony. You are no longer casual with consciousness. You move with reverence. You speak with purpose. You live with presence. Integration is also where responsibility meets freedom. You realize you are free not because the world grants it to you, but because you grant it to yourself. You are no longer enslaved by condition. You shape them. You lead them. You inform them with your frequency. This is not a philosophy. It is lived awareness. Your embodiment becomes your practice, and your practice becomes your life. There is no separation. Whether you are eating, walking, creating, or resting, your state remains your ground. And let me say this clearly. Integration does not mean you will never feel doubt again. It means you will know what to do when it comes. You will not panic. You will not regress. You will observe it, and you will choose differently. This is mastery. When integration takes root, the language of your world shifts. People speak to you differently. Time bends around your intentions. Events align without your meddling. You find yourself in the right place, at the right time, saying the right words, not by strategy, but by state. Your life becomes art, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And this art is not separate from your everyday existence. The mundane becomes sacred. The ordinary becomes radiant. You stop seeking signs because you are one. You stop waiting for confirmation because you embody it. Integration is also the healing of separation. You no longer divide your life into spiritual and material, inner and outer, divine and mundane. You see that the same power that breathes the cosmos also breathes your lungs. And so, you treat every act, from paying a bill to speaking with a stranger, as a ceremony. There is no outside of your embodiment. There is no exception to your state. Integration means you're up. Vibration doesn't clock out when you leave the meditation cushion. It governs everything. It becomes your standard. Your state becomes your default, not your exception. And here is something few understand. True integration is felt not in fireworks, but in peace. The nervous system relaxes. The mind softens. The body unwinds. You stop needing intensity to feel connected. Your baseline becomes joy. You rise each day not to chase a goal, but to express the state that has already fulfilled it. You do not chase results. You express from identity. You no longer grasp. You radiate, and life responds. Not because you are trying to manifest, but because you are living as one who already had. This is the secret of integration. It makes creation continuous. It turns isolated experiences into a lifestyle. It turns glimpses of power into a perpetual current. So what now? You live. You walk in the world as the embodiment of your truth. You stop speaking about alignment and become its example. You stop waiting to feel ready and realize that readiness is a choice. You let your life become the living testimony of inner realization. Not someday, not in sacred moments. Always. This is integration. This is where it all becomes real. We have surrendered. We have trusted. We have allowed. Now we reach the summit, embodiment. Not the intellectual understanding of your desire, not the emotional flotation with it, but the full, living expression of it. This is where you no longer visit the state of the wish fulfilled. You dwell in it. It breathes through you. It becomes your way of being. To embody is to make real inform what has already been claimed in consciousness. It is no longer theory, it is lived truth. And herein lies the great misunderstanding. Most believe manifestation is something they must acquire. But true manifestation is the result of what you are being. The world reflects not what you want, but what you are. Embodiment is not performance. It is not acting as though. It is the absence of all contradiction between your inner state and your outer movement. It is congruence, alignment, integrity of being. When you embody your desire, you no longer ask if it will come to pass. There is no question. There is only the rhythm of living as one who already has. And in this rhythm, manifestation becomes inevitable. Not because you have convinced life to respond, but because you have become the version of yourself to whom it must respond. Let us speak clearly. Embodiment is not about faking confidence. It is not about visualizing once and waiting. It is about consistency of state. It is about walking through your life with the inner structure of fulfillment already built. You do not wait for the world to catch up. You move as if it already has. To embody is to change your posture, not only physically, but spiritually. It is the lifting of your consciousness to the place where your desire is not hoped for, but expressed. Consider the actor who has become the role so thoroughly that they forget they are acting. The role consumes them. The gestures, the tone, the decisions all arise from the identity they wear. This is how you must embody your desire. You are not pretending to be successful. You are success expressing itself. When people speak of confidence, they often mean a psychological strategy. But true confidence is not loud. It is quiet certainty. It does not need to prove. It only needs to be. Embodiment is silent, powerful, unwavering. Think now of what embodiment feels like. Not what it looks like to others, what it feels like to you. It is the absence of striving. It is the still assurance that you are what you desire, and nothing can displace you from it. When you embody wealth, for example, it does not mean you spend recklessly or flash symbols. It means you move with the ease and certainty that all needs are met. Your decisions reflect abundance. Your energy transmits sufficiency. When you embody love, it does not mean you chase or demand affection. It means you radiate connection. You are love in form, and so love must come. Embodiment means the desire no longer feels separate. It feels natural, familiar. It is as comfortable as your own name. And this is the key: familiarity. The more familiar the state, the faster the manifestation. Why? Because what feels natural to you does not activate resistance. It does not feel foreign. It does not feel out of reach. It feels like home. You are not trying to reach the state. You are remembering that it is already yours. And how do you build this familiarity? Through repetition, through presence, through daily return to the inner conviction. You become the version of you that lives from the end. You wear the feeling of fulfillment like a second skin. And the more you return to this place, the more solid it becomes. It begins to shape your habits. It influences your speech. It guides your choices. You do not have to force anything. The embodied state expresses itself without strain. This is what most overlook. They believe they must force change. But change is a byproduct of embodiment. When you are the fulfilled version of yourself, the outer world must adjust. You stop arguing with circumstances. You stop trying to convince others. You stop waiting for permission. You move as one who has already received. And in this movement, life responds. Doors open because you are walking the path of one for whom doors open. Opportunities appear because your state is broadcasting readiness. People treat you differently because your energy commands a new standard. Embodiment is the signal. Manifestation is the echo. Do not chase the echo. Tune the signal. Ask yourself now, what would I be doing today if I were already living my desired life? What choices would I make? What would I say yes to? What would I release? Then act accordingly. Not from pressure, from alignment. This is not a one-time event. This is a way of living. The more you return to the state, the more it becomes your home frequency. Eventually, you don't even have to think about it. You are it. When challenges arise, and they will, you do not descend into fear. You remember your embodiment. You do not retreat into doubt. You remain in truth. You don't plead. You declare. You don't wait. You live. And this living becomes your message to the universe. Not in words, but in being. To embody is to be the evidence of your desire's reality before the world confirms it. To embody is to walk ahead of proof. To embody is to end the search and become the answer. This is the highest art, the final key. You are no longer the seeker. You are the source. So step now into the version of yourself that already has. Let them breathe through you. Let them speak through you. Let them lead you, not someday, now doing. This is embodiment, and this is the beginning of everything. Let us now enter the sacred chamber of allowance, the final unfolding of the path we have walked thus far. We began with surrender, moved through trust, and now we arrive at the quiet power of allowing. This is not passive, not idle, not waiting in vain. This is the ultimate refinement of creation. The art of being so aligned with your inner reality that you do not merely wish it to unfold, you permit it. To allow is to remove the final residue of interference. It is the soul's declaration, I need not do, for it is already done. It is the consciousness that rests in fullness, not as resignation, but as absolute creative confidence. In the earlier stages, the mind wants to act, to control, to fix. It believes that manifestation must be managed. But the deeper you go, the more you realize the action that matters most is inner. When you arrive at allowing, the doing has ceased, not because you have given up, but because you have stepped into the creative authority of your being. Allowing is not the absence of desire, it is the embodiment of its fulfillment. Allowing is not the end of movement. It is motion born of inner certainty. Allowing is not detachment in the cold sense. It is divine attachment to truth, so profound, so unwavering, that no outer appearance can seduce you away from what you know within. You begin to live as if, not pretending, not hoping, knowing, as if the wish fulfilled is not an imagination, but a memory, as if it already was, and now you are simply watching its reflection emerge in time. This is the height of creative living, when the outer world becomes a mirror, not a battlefield, when you no longer war with what is, nor beg for what might be. You rest in what is true within, and the world reshapes accordingly. To allow means to no longer push. Most people force manifestation because they believe they are separate from it. They chase it, unaware that this very act keeps it distant. But allowance is magnetic. When you allow, the energy of fulfillment radiates from you like sunlight, and what you radiate must return. Consider the sky. It does not force the stars to appear. It allows them to shine in their appointed time. The moon does not coerce the tides. It holds its place, and the water rises. You are the sky, Undanj. You are the moon. You are the magnetic axis upon which manifestation turns. When you allow, your inner state becomes stable. It is no longer reactive to circumstances. It becomes the cause of them. You are no longer moved by appearances because you know you are the mover. This is why most struggle. They are still trying to manipulate conditions from the outside, never realizing that the root of all change is inner. To allow means to become transparent to your own power. Let me be clear. Allowing is not inaction. It is the highest form of action, for it is born from identity, not effort. You are no longer becoming the fulfilled self. You are that self, and all doing flows naturally from being. You speak differently. You walk differently. You move through the world with a quiet authority. Not arrogance, certainty. Think of a person who already owns what they desire. There is no rush in them, no desperation, no overcompensation. Their decisions arise from wholeness. Their interactions are free of grasping. This is you when you live in allowance. You are not faking the feeling. You are communing with reality. You are not trying to summon it. You are recognizing that it already exists, and your only task is to tune to it like a perfect frequency. You no longer need the world to validate you. You validate the world by projecting your state upon it. Allowing transforms time. Because you are no longer waiting, you are living. You are not chasing the manifestation. You are hosting it within your consciousness. And in due course, it reveals itself without. There is a point in spiritual maturity where you realize the greatest miracles occur not through force, but through ease. The things you once tried to make happen now flow to you because you have stopped resisting them with your anxiety. To allow is to dwell in peace while the world catches up to your conviction. And let us speak now of subtlety. Allowance is subtle. It does not shout. It does not demand. It whispers through the stillness. It knows that all is unfolding in perfect law. It does not seek signs. It becomes one. Imagine how a river flows around a rock. It does not try to move the rock. It moves around it with grace. The rock, over time, is shaped by the water. So, too does your allowance shape the world, not with struggle, with flow. Your imagination, when paired with allowance, becomes the architect of experience. You are no longer hoping reality will change. You are living from the chain. This is the completion of the cycle. From desire to belief to feeling to allowing. And once you arrive here, you understand that nothing has ever been against you. The delays, the detours, were only showing you your own resistance. In allowance, you stop fighting yourself. You welcome what is, and in doing so, you shift the foundation of what must come. You are not passive. You are powerful. You are not waiting. You are witnessing. You are not hoping. You are knowing. And this knowing becomes your radiance. This radiance becomes your atmosphere. This atmosphere becomes your world. From this moment forward, let your mantra be simple. I allow. I allow what I have already received in consciousness to unfold in form. I allow myself to remain in peace, even as the outer catches up. I allow myself to remember that the law is perfect, and it is always responding to the tone of my being. And from that tone, I create with ease, with grace, with joy. This is allowance. This is mastery. This is your truth, and it is available now. Let us now go deeper into the sacred silence of surrender. We spoke of letting go, of allowing the unseen to unfold its perfection in form. But now I ask you to walk with me beyond the threshold of trust. For there is a realm few enter, not because it is hidden, but because it is ignored. It is the dimension of effortless knowing, the state where you no longer request your desire, but live from its fulfillment. This is not repetition. This is revelation. Letting go is not merely the release of worry. It is the relinquishment of the belief that you must interfere at all. When one truly lets go, it is not a step backward. It is an ascension into a higher plane of being where thought and manifestation merge as one. Let us now consider this question, not with the intellect, but with awareness. What happens after the letting go? What remains when striving ceases? What is the posture of the soul in that luminous stillness? It is not apathy. It is not stagnation. It is spiritual alignment. You become like the arrow already released from the bow. There is no turning back. You are in flight toward the mark, guided not by effort, but by the certainty of direction. You become the fulfilled state itself. Now, most people confuse faith with patience. They say, I will wait, and I will hope, but their waiting is with doubt. True faith has no tension in it. It is not concerned with appearances. It is absorbed in the inner fact, the inner conviction that the imagined state is already true. Imagine for a moment that you have already received what you desire, not just picturing it. Feel it, live it, inhabit it. Let it speak through your tone, your breath, your gestures. This is the work. And once you enter this state, what then? You stay. You do not vacillate. You do not go back to asking. You do not dig up the seed. You remain in the feeling of possession, not as a performance, but as a natural identity. Consider how a tree grows. It does not check the wind for permission. It does not ask the sky if it may reach upward. It simply becomes what it is programmed to be. The sapling holds no concern about becoming the oak. It is the oak in embryo. This is how you must dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire. As the tree does not rush the season, so must you trust the unfoldment of your manifestation without panic, without thought. The question is not how to get it. The question is, are you dwelling in the state where it already exists? You see, most people do not trust life because they do not trust themselves. And they do not trust themselves because they have not learned to trust consciousness as their true identity. They believe in the world of appearances more than the inner reality of the imagination. But let me offer this truth. The world of form is always delayed. What you see is not what is happening now. It is what has already been accepted in consciousness. You are not living in a future to be determined. You are living in a delayed echo of past inner states. So when you let go, you are not becoming passive. You are becoming potent. You are choosing to anchor yourself in the state of awareness that creates worlds. You no longer send out signals of need. You broadcast certainty, and the universe cannot help but reflect it. Imagine again, if you knew with absolute certainty that what you desire was not only possible but done, how would you live this day? What would you do? What would you no longer do? You would not rush. You would not beg. You would not compete. You would rest. You would enjoy. You would move with elegance and grace, because you would know that the fruit of the seed is inevitable. Letting go then is not disengagement. It is deeper engagement with the unseen. It is the turning of all attention inward to the source. It is the sacred withdrawal from the noise of facts to the stillness of truth. And this truth, it always, I am. You see, I am is not a statement of hope. It is a decree of reality. When you say, I am fulfilled, you are not asking. You are declaring. When you say, I am at peace, you are not describing a wish. You are speaking the eternal nature of your being. This is the practice. And this is the discipline. Not to drift into old mental habits. Not to allow appearances to shake your inner knowing, but to remain steadfast in the state, to abide in the consciousness of your ideal, even when all external signs speak otherwise. This is true trust, not in the outcome, but in yourself as the source of all outcomes. And when you dwell in this space, the miraculous becomes mundane. Manifestation becomes a rhythm. Life stops being something to manage and becomes something to allow. You let go, and in doing so you rise, not through effort, through alignment. So the next time you feel the urge to ask, to worry, to strain, pause. Return to your center. Remember that the feeling of already having is your home. The more you abide in that place, the less the world can sway you. For the world is your reflection, not your ruler. The law is always working. Your only task is to dwell in the state where what you want is already true. And from that state, you let go, you trust, you allow, and you become.